Donald Trump has declared Joe Biden's pardons of Fauci, J6 members, and his family void. The reason? Well, Joe Biden used an auto pen function, an app essentially that automatically signs pardons. Many have argued that pardons require a wet signature physically done on paper. I don't know how true that is because Obama, Trump, and Biden have all been accused of using the auto pen feature, though in the instance of Obama and Trump, there weren't questions of cognitive capabilities and they weren't as pronounced. Many people have started to take a look at the executive orders, memos, and pardons Joe Biden signed. And auto signature. They say auto pen, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, you ever use DocuSign or whatever, where it's like your signature is saved. You click a button, just applies it. Donald Trump says that they're void. Now, something else just happened this morning, which makes me wonder. Dan Bongino, now the deputy director of the FBI. I'd like to give a massive shout out to Dan Bongino, who is a gentleman and a scholar. And oh boy, am I excited. You know, we had so much happen over the weekend. It's funny, really, because I used to work weekends, okay? I used to do the morning show, this show, on the weekends, every day, no days off, including the weekends. And it was always really tough to source news during the weekends. So the shows were a bit more cultural, like, hey, this video game is dumb, or that's woke and this is woke, and who wants to watch that commercial? Because they'd be woke or something like this. Now it's like, I take a couple days off to spend time with the family like most regular human beings, and there's a plane full of violent murderers and rapists over international waters, and the Democrats are like, bring them back. And Trump's like, no. And a judge ordered a plane over international waters to turn around and come back to the country. It was on its way to El Salvador, where they deported some of the most violent criminals. Now, there are questions there because I'm always a fan of due process. And my concern is if they're just saying we hereby declare this person to be a non-citizen violent offender, then, you know, we want a court to determine that. I don't want American citizens caught up in this. That being said, I got to be honest, guys, about that story, too. And I'll do a bigger segment on this a little bit later. I really don't care about the crimes after, quote, illegal immigrant, end quote. OK, as soon as they're illegal immigrant, you deport them. And if you can argue any other crime and say, was he really accused of being this, a drug dealer or murder? And I'm going to be like, they went before a court, proved to a judge, or at least showed the judge the papers. He's not a citizen. The judge signed off on deportation. See ya. I'm not sure they're actually even going that far, which is a challenge because my concern is you'll get innocent people swept up. And you always do. But there are big challenges. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is this. Back to topic at hand, my friends. War. I tried to do it like Andrew Breitbart, but I'm nowhere near as good as he was. War. It's an administrative civil war. That's what Eric Weinstein said. Call it whatever you want. It's a civil strife. I don't know. But the efforts that were laid out against Donald Trump to destroy his life, to destroy people like me and you and our way of life, I'm sorry. I'm seeing all these Democrats coming out and being like, Donald Trump is voiding the pardons of Joe Biden. I mean, this is autocracy. And I'm like, I just don't care anymore. Abraham Lincoln is the most popular president in history. I'm sorry. We are so far beyond but my principles. Abraham Lincoln, when they poll and say, who is the most popular, who's the best president of all time? Everyone's like, Abraham Lincoln. It's like, oh, yeah, that guy suspended habeas corpus in a corridor between D.C. and up to Pennsylvania, basically ripping through Maryland and Delaware. There was no constitution. They could do whatever they wanted. This is a president who said, I am going to take soldiers and we're going to march in by force. This is the president of Sherman's March to the Sea. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like the Confederacy. My point is simply that to do the right thing, Abraham Lincoln said, your rights be damned. And that is terrifying. It is terrifying how much people love the man and cherish him. Why? Because the Confederacy was worse. Welcome to war. Your principles mean nothing, and the winners take everything. We have sat back for so long saying, please stop doing this, Democrats. Please stop violating the rights of people in this country. Please stop going after Trump's lawyers. That's the moment that was the shot heard around the world as far as I'm concerned. Jenna Ellis, Trump's lawyer, she cried on TV, she cried on camera, apologized, begged for forgiveness. Pathetic. But I get it. She was a lawyer. Donald Trump retained the lawyer. She provided legal service. They accused her of RICO. They charged her under 2 RICO statutes simply for being Trump's lawyer, one of them. They went after many other lawyers that were working with Trump. That was it, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I always say this. We don't know when the conflict truly begins. At the first Battle of Bull Run, as most of you now know, because it's beaten into your head, 'cause I won't shut up about it, people thought there was no civil war, and they were picnicking, despite the fact, historically, we say the Civil War had already begun. When they started going after Trump's lawyers, that's when it was like, holy crap. Because no, listen. They went after Trump himself, but presidents have been gone after before, like Nixon, right? Watergate scandal. He resigns. He gets a pardon right away. There have been efforts to impeach rarely. There have been accusations against presidents. Now, what they did to Donald Trump was unprecedented. Don't get me wrong. Trying to put him in prison in New York, trying to seize his assets, his buildings. It was nuts. All of these were terrifying. When they went after his lawyers, they said the gloves are off. They were going. I'll keep the language light, but they were going to the end. Of course, there were 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life as well. So now I see this story. Trump says Biden's pardons are void because they were signed with AutoPen. And I say, yeah, maybe. This ain't even the craziest thing Donald Trump has done. But y'all want to come to me and say, please, good sir, where are your principles? They went into garbage disposal the day y'all charged Trump's lawyers with crimes. I said, holy crap, they're trying to literally kill us. When they firebombed the White House grounds and set fire to St. John's Church. When they killed 30 plus people in the George Floyd riots. When they imprisoned the McMichaels and that guy Bryans, I forget his first name. That guy in the Ahmaud Arbery case simply filmed something and they put him in prison effectively for life. I said, these people are going above and beyond to destroy us, our lives. And 2 people nearly killed the president. One guy got a shot off. Now, as Trump is saying, if these were not actually signed by Joe Biden, they're not real pardons. And I agree with that 100%. If Joe Biden wanted to issue a pardon, he could sign it himself. But if he did not, are there really pardons here? Let's read the news, my friends. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. You can join us over at Rumble Premium. Don't miss the live show at noon over at rumble.com/Timcast. And join our Discord server. Go to timcast.com. Click join us. Sign up. Then download Discord if you're not already using it. Do not just be a passive observer of the news. I tell you, my friends, you got to be an active participant. Join the conversation. Join the activism. Do not let evil triumph on this day, my friends. We will not go quietly into that good night. And all you got to do, and if you don't join the Discord server, that's fine. I'm just saying, be active. Find friends. Communicate. Make plans. I'm talking about bake sales, fundraisers, knocking on doors, looking up what Scott Pressler is up to so that we can win these midterms and make sure whatever is going on right now does not escalate. Although I have very little hope. Take a look at this from The Guardian. Oh boy. Donald Trump claimed on Monday that pardons signed by Joe Biden were void, vacant, and of no further force and effect because they were signed with an auto pen. Well, I got the actual tweet from you. It said, oh-ish. Trump says Fauci and family pardons are void. He made this post in the wee hours of the morning. Donald Trump says, the pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, Crooked Joe Biden. The whinging, of course, has already begun. But my friends, as I mentioned, something else happened today. Dan Bongino officially joined the FBI. Dan, buddy, tell me you will go after the criminals. I have faith. Listen, let me tell you. There have been a series of swattings. It's been getting bad. I'm telling you, they can scream and they can spit and they can yowl all about Donald Trump and he's defying court orders, whatever it might be. And I'm just like, you are never going to get me to argue in defense of Democrats at this point. The level of evil that these people have wrought. Now, hold your horses. I won't defend Democrats. I will defend the Constitution. And I will not side with Democrats. So I'll tell you this. With these deportations, as long as there is some evidence these individuals are illegal immigrants, that's the only thing that matters. Trump can argue they're violent criminals. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Right? I appreciate the worst of the worst going first. All you need to do is say they are not citizens. The public is allowed, post the names of the individuals, give us a record of who they are so that we know for a fact these people that are being sent to El Salvador, when the judge is like, turn them around, like, hold on there a minute, they're not citizens. Then I say, fine, Trump, do your thing. I will defend the safeguards, but I'm also not so stupid. That's why I brought up Abraham Lincoln. Because all these Democrats are going to come out and say, Trump's violating the Constitution. So did Abraham Lincoln. But you love him. Everybody does. Because the Confederates sucked. And there's a lot of people that are like, no, Tim, it was the Northern War of Aggression. Listen, Southern states weren't seceding over trade disputes. They got mad that Abraham Lincoln won. They thought slavery was going to be abolished. So they decided to secede. Now, y'all can make the argument that states had a right to secede or whatever you want to make. I like what Ulysses S. Grant had to say about this. Principle over paper. He said, your admittance into this union required the sacrifice of blood and treasure. And now you seek to leave with nothing repaid. We say no. No. And this letter is amazing. He goes on to say, it is the right of every person and of every peoples to fight for their sovereignty and self-determination. But when you lose, you will be ruled by your betters. And I think that's something a lot of people need to consider. The southern states, when they tried to secede, so many other states foot the bill so that they could be a part of this union, so that there could be a country. And they said, we're just going to sever that. It's like, whoa, buddy. Okay, you can't just leave right now. You owe me. And they're like, nah, we don't like the way you run things. So Abraham Lincoln says, we will not let this great nation fall, and I will do whatever it takes. Now, many people view Abraham Lincoln as a tyrant, but I'll stress this again. The preservation of the Union was preferable. The ending of slavery was paramount. Other nations had already done it. It was the right thing to do. And these states did not like the fact that the institution of slavery was losing popularity and was likely about to be abolished, as we see with the Civil War. It took a few more years after this. So Abraham Lincoln says, we will do whatever we must. We look back on him with fondness. Today, we are in the thick of things. And depending on what happened with the Civil War, I don't know what people would have said. But as they say, history is written by the victors. Who knows what would have been written should the Confederates have actually won? There'd be two nations. There'd be a Confederacy and a United States. There'd be 4 countries in North America. Here's a story from Fox News. FBI investigating rise in swatting incidents after several conservatives targeted, Kash Patel says. And we have this from the Bearded Vet. Bearded Vet's on X. He's got 194,000 followers. He says, well, add me to the swatted list. Says everybody is fine and secure. I don't even know what the number's up to at this point, but it's up there. The far left are extremely violent. Violence is the norm for them. Does the corporate press, the Democratic Party, do they come out and condemn the violence? They don't. As most of you already know, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden actually solicited donations, assisted in the donations. So let me pause. Kamala Harris personally solicited donations for the bail fund of these people who were rioting during the COVID George Floyd riots. Several of Biden's staff contributed to that fund. They not only support it, they advocate for more. Now you got Bill Burr. I know he's just a comedian. Just a comedian. That's how he talks, right? And he's calling for more violence. 100% he is. He's cheering on the violence. He's saying he's calling for death of targeted individuals, of the wealthy. And he's saying free Luigi more than once. And he's doing so, I think, because he's a coward. He thinks the left is going to win. That's it. He's got no principles. The reason he's doing this is because he's just about as rich as the United Healthcare CEO. So when people are going around murdering millionaires saying, eat the rich, he's sitting there looking at his wallet going, because he's just about as wealthy, depending on the reports you read. So he decides he's going to come out on their side and maybe they will spare him. It's normal. It is. I mean, it's cowardly. But you take a look at all these Tesla vehicle owners right now. And you've got people putting on their Teslas, we bought this before we knew Elon was crazy. You've got people changing the logos so their Teslas look like other vehicles. Kid you not. There's one viral photo where someone made their Tesla, they took all the symbols off and they put Audi symbols all over it so that people would think it wasn't a Tesla. Now, some people say that's really dumb because you can tell it's a Tesla. Nah, you'd be surprised. You've got videos of this guy keying a Tesla, gets caught. Several stories now of people vandalizing Tesla vehicles because the left are psychotic extremists. It's always been the case. Finally now, with Trump as president, we are getting some accountability and enforcement. What the Democrats can't handle is that for once, there is a political administration that is playing the same game as they are. You know what they say, though? When you get into a pissing contest, all that happens is everybody gets covered in piss. Well, I got news to add to that one. The Democrats have been pissing on us and telling us it's raining for a decade plus. And sooner or later, someone said, we're not just going to sit here. We're not. And so you can come to me and you can say, but Tim, your principles. I'll be like, my principles were crushed by the Democrats. Everything that I cared about and believed in was beaten to a pulp, grinded to a paste, and thrown into the wind. And then I sat here saying the things that I've cared about for so long, free speech, the marketplace of ideas, as it were, the market in general. I mean, honor, loyalty, dignity. These things were being absolutely crushed by Democrats. So we say we need Donald Trump. Trump gets in and he starts taking actions. And instantly you get many of these lolbertarians. Oh, I can't believe Trump would do that. I don't even care about these people. You can go stand in the middle and get swept up in the chaos. I don't care. I'm saying right now, what I've witnessed and what I've realized, what I've learned, perhaps when we try to preserve the peace, when we call on a people to be honorable and dignified, that is where we have our principles. But when the barbarians are at the gates and they are beating down the doors, and you stand there and say, wait, open the doors, let us hear them out. It is normal policy of us to allow visitors in. My guy, these people, their intentions are clear. Fauci got a blanket pardon for an 11-year period. Tell me what for. Why should I care that Donald Trump says those pardons are void? I don't care at all. The Biden family, blanket pardons. Literally don't care. Now, Donald Trump may not need to actually void these pardons if he can. I don't know. Because he can force these people to testify and they can't plead the fifth. They can't. They're immune from criminal charges in these regards, right? Now, if they commit perjury, they can be charged. They ain't pardoned for that. However, at any rate, with this, it seems like maybe we're going to see some action. And I've been saying, with all due respect to Kash Patel, he's been doing a great job, a bang-up job. But Kash is a moderate guy. He's not this MAGA crazy extremist that they wanted to paint him out to be. Some people thought he wouldn't get confirmed. And I'm like, have you ever listened to the guy? He says he wants to keep the FBI on staff and send them out to go enforce the law. He's not one of these dudes saying abolish the FBI. He's not this passionate fist banging on the table, I will come for you kind of guy. He was very reasonable. And I respect it. Dan Bongino, on the other hand, is the guy who looked in the camera and says, you will be held to account if you are a criminal, if you have violated your oath. And then they were like, we want to make Dan Bongino deputy FBI director. I couldn't believe it. to leave one of the biggest podcasts in the world. He had the largest live show in the world. That's amazing. So I am very, very much looking forward to the actions of Dan Bongino. Donald Trump is a wartime president. Call it whatever you want, administrative civil war, civil strife, or looming civil war, I don't know. But I can tell you this. Many people say all that's going to do is make things worse. We've talked about this for years. If the right does not try to preserve this nation, we will fall under some kind of communist, bureaucratic machine state, not too dissimilar to communist China, under the Democrats. Then they say, yeah, but Donald Trump is doing all these things that, like, it's going to escalate everything. Oh, okay. So our options are defeat and crushing authoritarianism or civil war. I don't want either of those things. I don't. I'm hoping that Donald Trump going after the criminals averts all of it. But we got no guarantees. So all we can do is cross our fingers and hope that Donald Trump does what he can to prevent the evil from succeeding. But a lot's going to come from us, my friends. So I'm going to leave that one there. We got some more segments coming up for you in a little bit. Of course, we'll be live at noon, rumble.com/Timcast exclusive for our special new live morning show. We may even have guests Zoom in. We're working on building out the show. It's very exciting, but stick around. Buy Cast Brew Coffee. Join the Discord at timcast.com. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Stick around. We've got also more segments coming up on YouTube. Same schedule. Nothing's changing. Just more shows to come. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all at noon.